Hi guys, and welcome back here to the Dev Realm, and today we start here a brand new series, and the series of today is going to be a placement system. So we're going to be building together a placement system for Unreal Engine. So it's not going to be necessarily a building system, but it's going to be something more like, let's say you have a part, you want to drop that part into the world, so you can do this using this system. You're going to also be introduced to sockets, you're going to be introduced into saving and loading those parts, and also line tracing, so you can point to the part and then you can place it into the sockets and things like this. So it's going to be a very basic introduction. So I hope you guys enjoy this series, and I see you in the video. Alright guys, so I'm gonna be creating a brand new project for Unreal Engine, and this time we're gonna select here third-person character, third-person template. I think we'll probably be fine with the first person, but I think third person is the best one for this case. And here we're gonna be using blueprints, and all those settings we're gonna leave as it is, and just the name of this project is just gonna be called the building system. So and then you can select where you want to save. Once this is boot, we'll resume the video. Alright, so right now we have the engine just started, so if you press play you have a blank character, you don't have any much things to interact. So the first thing we're gonna do here is I'm just gonna play this in a new window here, just so it's easy for me to detach and debug a blueprint if I need to. Alright, and let's start to create a couple of things here. So what I want to do here is I want to create a player controller so I can do stuff on the player controller as well. Remember that we're going to try to create something very modular, so it's going to be easy to migrate your own project. But yeah, let's do this. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to show my word settings in here so I can select my player controller. So I'm going to go here to Windows, I'm going to go, where is it, word settings, which is great. And let's check where is this game mode here. Okay, you don't necessarily need to use this game mode. I'm just using this one because it already exists, but if you want you can create your own. But right now let's create here another class, and we're going to create a blueprint class, and we're going to create the BP player controller. So we're going to be BP player controller. Nice. We're going to open up this guy here, and then we're just going to attach the player controller in here. What is it? Player controller. Cool. Nice. Compile and save. And the reason why we did this is just because we're going to be using the player controller to do a couple of logics and stuff to handle the building parts and stuff. Right. Okay, next stuff that we're going to do here is that we need to create the building part. All right. And this is where we already have a folder here called blueprints. So what I'm going to do here, just for organization purpose, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this player, right? And I'm going to move all the player stuff in that, so it's out of the way, which is great. This can be a okay, so shouldn't be a problem with that. Just gonna press play. Cool. No problem with this. Right. Now what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna create a folder, and I'm gonna call this building system, right? Building system. And in the building system here, I'm going to create a blueprint class, which is going to be actor. And this time it's going to be the base of all the building system. Just to give you context, we're going to have a base blueprint actor, which is the one we're going to be placing in the board. And we're going to have a base socket, where is the parts is going to be attached to. Okay. So let me call this BP base building part. And then I'm going to go ahead in here, I'm just going to copy and paste, and then I'm going to call BP base building socket, right? Which we're not going to be using yet. This is going to be more in the future. Okay. Right. So the next thing here that we want to do now is that we want to kind of create a little bit of a logic around this. But before we do this, we need to control, we need the player to be able to change the camera once it goes to building mode, so we need that action before we can actually do such a thing. So to do this, we're going to create here a widget that we're going to press a certain key, and then it's going to show up like a window with some parts so that the player can select, right? Normally you probably have something like a radio selection, but we're just going to do something where it just show up a widget in the screen, you pick up that, and then you can place an actor in the game. So to do this is really cool. We're gonna come back here to the inputs. We're gonna go to actions, And we're gonna create a new action. You can just copy and paste if you want, or you can just right click, go to inputs, and then you create a new input action. In this, we're gonna call this EA, let's say open building menu, right? Cool. So now we're gonna open up that. There's nothing here that we need to, it's just a normal axis. There's nothing, I think that's the wrong one. Let me just delete this. Let me create a new one because it has some things. Let's just do the proper way here. It's gonna be EA open building menu, right? I'll open up that. It's cool, yeah, that's digital, amazing. The settings are good. Don't need to change anything here. Now let's add this open building menu here to the IMC default here. So we can have some action in that. And I'm gonna add another action here. We're gonna search for this. And the key, I'm gonna press V. So when I press V, I'm gonna open up a menu on my character so I can see the building parts that I wanna use. Right, so right now, if you press play, nothing gonna happen. We need to make all this stuff happen. So to do this, we're gonna go to the blueprints player. We're gonna open up here our player. And I think the first thing I wanna do here is I wanna move this stuff here to the player controller, okay, the input mapping. And the reason why I'm doing this is because the player controller will only control the players, and then in this way we know that this is just for movement, so we don't get confused. So the way you can actually do this is really simple. So what I'm gonna do that is in the player controller, I'm gonna create a new event here called custom event, and I'm gonna call boot layer, right? Actually, it's in the T here, boot player. Nope. There we go. And what I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna get player palm. No, sorry, I think it's get controller. Not the get controller. Get palm reference. Let me check if I need. What do I need here? Get a controller. Yeah, I don't need that much. So what I can do here is a little bit simpler than this. So I'm just gonna copy this. Okay. I'm gonna go back in here. I am gonna paste this code that, and here's gonna be where we boot the player. And then from this arrow here, it's gonna be self. Okay, so it's a reference from himself because at this point I am the class already, which is really good. The IMC default, this is where your controllers. So if I quickly show you here, this is your controllers that. Nice, and right now I don't think we need anything else, which is nice. So I'm just gonna delete this for now. Here is gonna be, I think it's gonna run only on the client for now. We don't need to, the server doesn't care about which inputs you want. And that we're gonna call this on the boot player here, okay? Which is nice. So what happened now is that if I compile and save, I don't need this code anymore, because the controller is already attached to the player. So in this way you don't have to cast anything. So if you press play, you should be able to move with no problem. So it's already being handled by the controller, as you guys can see here. And now we're gonna create another graph, okay? And this graph here is going to be where we're gonna keep the input systems. It's gonna be, I'm just gonna call here inputs. And I'm gonna open up this graph. And remember that we have created here this this new action called open build menu. So now what we can do here is just right click, EA open building menu, which is nice. And then if you guys not aware or don't know about this new system here, I have a whole tutorial on my the absolute beginners, which I cover this thing as well. But for now, all you need to know is that if you press on the started, so if I press print, when I press V on my game, I should be able to show up the menu, okay? And now what we're gonna have to do is to build the menu itself. So for now we did just the basic setup. I'm gonna pause this video right here, and then in the next lesson we're gonna start to build the widget, and then from that we're gonna interact with the parts. So thank you very much for watching, and see you guys in the next one.